Good morning, UUMAN. I'm Denise Wilson. I'm a member here, and it's my honor to be your worship associate this morning. On behalf of Reverend Dave Dunn, our Director of Religious Exploration, Lexi Tagney, Music Director, Alex Peach, my fellow worship associates, and the dedicated technical team that is making today's live stream possible, I would like to welcome you all to Unitarian Universalist Metro Atlanta North Congregation, which we lovingly call UUMAN. We are a liberal faith community with the mission to nurture our spirit, strive for justice, and transform the world. No matter who you are, whom you love, or where you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. We love visitors, and if there are any first-time visitors here among us that feel comfortable doing so, we would love for you to stand up and tell us who you are, maybe where you're from, so that we can worship together as friends. Are there any first-time visitors on my right? Wow, this is great. Oh my gosh. Okay, yay. Okay. How about you? Great. Angie Miles. I'm sorry. I didn't hear that. Oh, great. Tamsin Scout. Isabel. Mika. And Michelle. Welcome. Thank you. Hi. Melody DeLauder from Johns Creek. Thank you for joining us. Welcome, everybody. Oh. Hi. Oh, great. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Wonderful. Welcome from Orlando. Thank you. It's nice to see so many people here today, both familiar and new. We have a few announcements before we get started. UUMAN's Board of Trustees uses COVID Act Now to monitor our current COVID risk levels. We are thrilled to see that the counties in which the majority of us live are in the low-risk category, meaning masks are optional for indoor activities, and indoor singing can occur at this time, which I think we might have plans for, not today, but coming up very soon. We have beautiful flowers this morning, donated by Mike and Deborah Burrell in celebration of their 37th wedding anniversary coming up on the 22nd of this month. Yes, thank you. And I would like to call everyone's attention to the area over there, which is a wonderful little activity center for kids or really people of any age who would like to have something to occupy their hands during the service. Children are welcome to go by themselves and find an activity or bring their grown-up with them if that makes them more comfortable. Rollin, would you like to come? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rollin. I am the chairperson for adult religious education, and I have this idea. You might think it's kind of a strange idea, but I have this idea that it's better to be educated than to be ignorant. Now, some people out there in the world might think that's kind of strange when so much of the public discourse you hear sounds like a cross between a bumper sticker cliche and an enemies list, and that's it. But you know, I think we're better than that, huh? We are. We want some depth in our lives, and we're kicking off a year with all kinds of adult religious education offerings going on. Just today, for example, we've got two things going on. The Earth Ministry is doing a program. They're going to be meeting over here. David Kruber is going to be doing service reflection in the minister's office over here. I can show people after the service where that is. All this starts at 11:15. So there'll be a little bit of a break, 20, 30 minutes or so between service and that to socialize and whatnot. And then if you want to drift into one of our classes, a small group situation where you get to know people, you can discuss, you can talk, that sort of thing. We've got all kind of offerings coming up. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself on what's coming up for the church here, but we've got a lot of stuff. What I'll try to do, provided I do my job, I'll make sure that the greeters have the information every Sunday on what groups are meeting where. We'll also have a lot of that on our website. You can check for that. But I just want to kind of introduce you to how we do our Sundays here. Okay, we've got the service at 10 o'clock. 11:15 is our so-called second hour education. And we got children and youth, and then we're going to do adult classes. And those tend to be our short-term studies, okay? In addition to that, we have 2 ongoing classes that meet on Sunday. One at 12:30, and so that's deliberately set at that time so that people can either go to 11:15 group or they can go out to lunch or something and come back. And then twice a month, we have a 7 p.m. Sunday online group, so you don't have to drive here to the building twice in one day, okay? So if you're interested in our small group ministry, you want to get educated, you want to get to know people in a small group session, we're going to have all kinds of stuff, and just sort of stay tuned, and I'll make sure we get the information to the right people. And you can always, any Sunday after service, just find me and ask me what we've got going on. So, thank you.
Thanks, Roland. And to that end, we have, I just want to be sure everybody knows where the second hour RE for youth and children is located in Discovery Hall, which is the building right over there. Parents, if you haven't done so already, you can go to the check-in desk over there and find where your child's class is going to be located and sign them in. And I'm also told that there will be games in the youth room after the service. Okay. Also, after the service, we have coffee hour. We have been enjoying that out in the beautiful weather out front in weeks past, which you are most welcome to continue to do. However, to make life easier on the Brew Crew, they are going to set up inside over there with coffee and snacks, which you are invited to pick up and take and enjoy outside together if you wish. And we have one other special announcement before we get started from a group. Miriam, Jennifer, Kelly, anybody here? Okay, great.
Good morning, everybody. So I don't know if you can see, I'm modeling what I'm about to speak to. This is Under the Harvest Moon. For those of you who don't know, this is our annual super most fun event of the year. It is our harvest auction, and our theme this year is UUMAN. We heart you to the moon and back. So that's a little hint that this is going to be a travel-themed auction. So all things travel all the time. You want an Italian dinner? We'll have that. Would you like to go to travel to some exotic vacation home on the Gulf? I bet we're going to have that. How about anybody like wine? Perhaps from Australia? Perhaps from Napa? We're going to have that. So think about travel. Think about ideas that you may have for contributions you'd like to contribute to the auction. And just a couple of other things. For those of you who have been part of the auction in previous years, last year there was a video about our coveted parking spots. How many of you have ever bid on one of the 2 premier parking spots in our parking lot? Okay. Ashok Nagrani is the person to beat. And so if you want to get a coveted parking spot, you're going to have to really step up. But when we were virtual, we didn't, it was hard to kind of drum up the support for a parking spot because we weren't coming here. So the UUs are nothing if not creative, and so people had fantastic ideas about what else you could use your coveted parking spot for. Would you like to play hopscotch? Would you like to set up a little mini campsite? You could do that. So what we're going to challenge you with is to come up with your most fantastical idea of how to use the parking spot. Share that with us. We'll have an auction table set up before and after service every week for the next 7 weeks, and let us know your ideas. The top 10 ideas, 10, not 5, 10 ideas, we will develop a video of those ideas to be premiered on the night of the auction. And those 10 winners will get an additional incentive of some extra raffle tickets. And I'm not going to disclose all of our secrets today, but you'll get more raffle tickets to win more things. So come up with your ideas. Please come and see us at the table after service today. Let us know what you'd like to contribute. And at 11:10 this morning, we will be announcing our first winner of some tea and biscuits in honor of the Queen for those of you who have shared your ideas and dropped them into our little magic bowl. Thank you.
Good morning. Today's call to worship is by Kari Kopnick. She writes, "The things to do have been done. Well, for the most part. The people we need are in place. Almost. We UUs often arrive late. We are ready, or as ready as we will be. Bless this most perfectly imperfect beginning. May we find the right people to do the right things as we go. May we discover that what we needed was right here all along. And may we remember to stop and marvel at the magic of each moment as it floats by. And now let us light our chalice together."
Our chalice lighting this morning is called Drawn Together by Jennifer Grayson. We come together every week, bound not by a creed or a mutual desire to please one God or many gods, yet we are drawn together by a belief that how we are in the world, who we are together, matters. We light this chalice together in the knowledge that love, not fear, can change this world.
Before service, I was looking for a volunteer who would risk their fortune or their fate on a game of chance. No adults took me up on this, so I went to the kids. Hey, are you willing to risk your parents' fortune on a game of chance? And many were jumping at that opportunity. So if Eli would come up, we're going to do a little game of chance. Thank you, Eli. So first, before I get started, do I have anything up my sleeve? You see anything? No? What about my arms? Do you see my arms in my sleeves? Okay, good. I thought I was invisible for a moment. So, we're going to play a game here. All right, pick 4 cards, any 4 cards, Very good. So 4 cards. All right, so. Oh, you got 4? 2, 3, 4. Okay, we got 4 cards. So what I'm going to do, first, I'm going to fold these cards, okay? I'm going to put a crease in them. Try to fold them because I am going to rip them in half. Okay? They're folded. Now I'm going to rip them in half. Okay? There we go. Now, would you like me to do a trick to put all these cards back together so that they would be in perfect condition once again? Would you like to see me do a trick like that? Well, I don't know that trick. It's later on in the magic course that I'm taking, but right now I have to pay more to get there. So, yeah, I'm not going to do that trick, but I'm going to do something else, and you're going to help me, okay? All right. This trick, there are many, many steps. The first step is to take the first card and put it on the bottom. The second step, you take the first 2 cards and put them on the bottom one at a time. Okay? Now, the third step is you take the first top 3 cards together and you can put them anywhere inside this pile. So here's the 3. Where would you like them to go in there? Right here? Right there? Okay, so put them in there. Fourth step is you take this card. You see it, don't tell me what it is, but you can go show it to somebody. Okay. The next step, you have a choice to make. You can take the first, the second, or all 3 cards, 1, 2, or 3, and bury them in the middle again. So how many would you like to bury? Just 1. Where would you like to bury it? Right here. Okay. You have another choice. The next step, you can take the first, second, and third card, all 3 of them, 1, 2, or 3, and you can do the same thing, bury them again, or you can throw them away. What would you like to do? Throw them away. How many cards? 1, 2, or 3? 2. Throw it away. Throw it away. Throw it away. Okay. Now, the next step, I'm going to go shuffle the card. Well, I'm going to put the top card on the bottom 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then I'm going to play She Loves Me or She Loves Me Not. Do you know that game? Not yet. You'll learn. So here's what I'm going to do. When I say she loves me, I'm going to take a card and put it at the bottom, keep it in the deck. If I say she loves me not, I'm going to throw it away. So here we go. She loves me. She loves me not. 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 What do you think? Don't go anywhere yet. Don't go anywhere yet. So this was a card trick. There's nothing wrong with card tricks in this context. There's nothing wrong with games. They're perfectly fine to do. But sometimes games can get a little bit, would you really risk your life on a game? A story I told a few weeks ago, I told a story of a prince who engaged in a game, and he lost his own life into slavery and the lives of his brothers into slavery. And only when the king, having mercy on this family, gave this prince's wife 3 wishes. And the first wish is for freedom for her husband. That was granted. The second wish was freedom for her brother-in-laws, the brothers of the prince. That was granted. And then the king asked, what's the third wish? And she says, no thank you. I didn't need a third wish. That was her way of getting out of that predicament. Well, Today, we're going to talk about a different kind of predicament and how we can deal with that. It's called the Wheel of Fortune, but I'm not talking about a game show. So thank you, Eli.
We have a reading this morning which is adapted from Friedman's Fables by Edwin Friedman. How to control our fate has been a dilemma throughout world history, yet our answer to this dilemma has been a disease that has been passed down generation to generation like some cellular process to all families ever since. I believe, or used to believe, control came from looking beyond ourselves. What I have really learned, the bottom line, is that the problem of destiny has nothing to do with either looking inward or beyond ourselves, but with what we believe, with what we treasure most, with what we would give our lives for. If people are to influence their own destiny, they must know what they believe. At this point in our service, we share our joys with each other to magnify them and our sorrows to divide the weight of their pain. If you are so moved, please feel free to come forward, drop a pebble into the bowl of water, and at this microphone here, you can express your joy or sorrow. And for those of you who are attending our live stream, if you have a joy or a sorrow that you would like to share this morning, please type it in the chat, and I will try to read them. And we will all look forward to seeing on an email this week, hopefully, everybody's joys and sorrows so that we can share them together.
Hello, everyone. I am Lizzie. I have spoken a few times recently about my family going through different things, and wouldn't you know, my nephew, who's been estranged from us for a few years, was involved in what we hope was an accident. Last week, he was shot in the leg. He is fine. He is out of the hospital. He is going to recover. It did not hit bone. But it is, as understandably, very, very frightening and sad, and we just hope that the people around him are wise and, help him recover both emotionally and physically in this time, and that he gets well soon, and that the events surrounding it don't happen again. Thank you.
I'm excited because last Friday I did a belt test for Taekwondo, and now I'm at Orange White, and then after that I did full steam Friday at my school, and I'm excited about doing Boy Scouts today.
Hi all, I'm Grace. I have a pivotal sorrow today. My mom has been in the hospital all weekend. On Friday, she was having stroke symptoms, and they've ruled out a stroke at this time, but we don't know what's going on, and they're still running tests, so we're just hoping she's okay.
I'm Deborah Burrell, and I have a pebble of concern for my 18-year-old niece, Claire. She got COVID in August, and since then she's had myocarditis, inflammation of the heart, and they're still running tests, but we're very concerned for her.
I'm Paul. I just want to say thank you for my aunt. I'm thankful today for my niece. I'm thankful for my brother to be an uncle. Definitely thankful for my mom. I love y'all. I'm just thankful for my life, and I want to say thanks to a friend I lost about 3 months ago to overdose. But she just, she loved life. She loved a lot. She loved animals, and I'm doing a lot for her right now. I'm doing a lot for me. So thank you, Lori, and I love you, Lori.
My name is Gus Haydorn. I believe in grandfathers. My wife is with her father in Mexico, and he turned 95 yesterday, and he's in wonderful health, and he has been a grandfather to my two children in an incredible way. So, the grandfathers.
Okay, I have one that was sent via email from Carla Kapeskas, who writes about a joy that she would like to share. She says, I have been in Italy now for 3 weeks. My experiences so far have been wonderful. It has always been a dream of mine to live in my father's land. I start school today, which was one day last week, to improve my Italian language skills, and I am so thankful for this amazing experience, and I miss UUMAN. And I have one showing up in the live chat from Steve Allerton, who would like to drop a pebble of concern for my fully vaccinated, fully boosted friend Roger, who is at home recovering from a nasty breakthrough COVID infection. And now I'll drop one final pebble for all those joys and sorrows still too tender to escape the folds of our hearts. Let us keep one another in our thoughts for the coming week. And we have another reading this morning, also adapted from Friedman's Fables by Edwin Friedman. In our effort to establish some control over our fate, our typical solution is also our disease. This disease is our undying quest for certainty and the resulting reductionism, which inevitably follows, that allows the Furies to spin out our fate. We live in denial, yet the real molder of denial is not the absence of something such as courage, but the presence of something, the pursuit of certainty, to be exact. The quest for certainty has produced a fascination with reducing everything to its basic components. Everything must have an answer. Only the poets are unafraid of ambiguity. Everyone else goes to experts, the therapists, physicians, ministers. The helping professions have been turned into certaintizers. More often than not, fate is attributed to the gods, for we cannot risk the idea that destiny depends more upon our personal response to challenge. We had a God for every dimension of existence: love, war, sleep, the earth, the sky, time itself, and we gave our fate over into their imaginary hands rather than take responsibility for the fact that the hostility of most environments depends less on the toxic elements within them than on the response of the organism to challenge.
What? Are you trying to halt the motion of her whirling wheel? I know the manifold deceits of that monstrous Lady Fortune. In particular, her fawning friendship with those with whom she intends to cheat, until the moment when she unexpectedly abandons them and leaves them reeling in agony beyond endurance. Having entrusted yourself to fortune's dominion, you must conform to your mistress's ways. These are the words of Boethius, Magistrar Officiorum, the prime minister of the Roman Empire, second only in power to the emperor himself, Emperor Theodoric. Yes, these are the words of Boethius, written in his prison cell the year before his execution in the year 524. Boethius experienced firsthand the deceits of the monstrous Lady Fortune. Suspicions began to swirl about him when he acted as an interpreter and a negotiator on behalf of the emperor and with a rival. The suspicions, founded or unfounded, real or imaginary, grew and eventually led to his own imprisonment and ultimately to his execution upon the command of the Emperor Theodoric. Monstrous Lady Fortune, he says. Today, we call her Lady Luck, yet it is based upon the Roman goddess Fortuna. When we talk about Lady Luck, it actually evokes kind of good feelings in us, our hopes for favorable results in whatever endeavor we're undertaking. Yet we know that there are two sides to every coin. Ultimately, her fawning friendship is fake. And when we trust ourselves to her dominion, we are left with sometimes agonizing abandonment. Mythology has Fortuna sealing our fate as she blindly and indiscriminately spins her wheel of fortune, randomly landing us on sorrow, pleasure, fortune, famine. Fortune and famine ride the swift winds of chance. Sorrow and pleasure seem united in dance. Fortune and famine ride the swift winds of chance. Sorrow and pleasure seem united in dance. That's from our hymnal, number 194. Boethius was a Christian. Since 2 centuries earlier, the Emperor Constantine established Christianity as the official religion of the Roman Empire. But prior to that point, prior to the 4th century, it was pagan practices and rituals that were done to pay tributes to the many gods and goddesses. Now, these tributes and practices were merely to keep the gods at bay for the most part. They were not to curry favor amongst the gods, because the gods didn't care about humanity. We were irrelevant to the gods. We weren't anything special. We were merely a part of what one might call an interdependent web of existence. Nothing special. Us. Possibly, in the pagan world, the idea of the wheel of fortune, the idea that bad things can happen to good people for no apparent reason, was simply a fact of life, consistent with their experience of the world. People died for almost no reason. A cut on your finger, getting infected, could result in death. Life expectancy was probably in the 20s. Perhaps if one faced misfortune in the pagan world, it might be due, they might think that maybe they didn't pay proper tribute. But by and large, the gods didn't care about people. It likely wasn't until the idea of a Judeo-Christian God, the God of the Hebrew Bible and of the New Testament, a God who does stuff, a God who establishes the primacy of human beings, where he says, fill the earth and subdue it. A God who establishes a covenant with his people. I am your God, you are my people. Perhaps it was that idea, that concept of a God, that led people when they feel the wheel of injustice turning in the wrong direction, it starts to feel like injustice, like it doesn't feel fair. I mean, God, if I love you with my whole heart, in my whole soul, in my whole being, in all my strength, in all my mind, and I am in covenant you, why is this BS happening to me? Many of you might come to a Unitarian Universalist congregation because you weren't satisfied with the answers from an earlier faith tradition. Answers like, it's all part of God's plan. It's God's will. God doesn't give you anything that you can't handle. Well, you don't have to look too far to see that some people are carrying, have carried, continue to carry much more than they are probably able to do. If you want evidence, you just have to pick up a newspaper. Is there a way out? Boethius' words that I quoted earlier end with this sentence: having entrusted yourself to fortune's dominion, you must conform to your mistress's ways. Is there an opening here? a way forward? Might entrusting oneself to fortune's dominion be little different than kneeling down at the crossroads and making a Faustian deal with the devil? Might there be a way to live one's life without entrusting oneself to fortune's dominion, perhaps transcending it? For example, we talked about this a few weeks ago when we introduced the full concept, the philosophy of yoga. It's eight-limbed philosophy. According to Patanjali, who wrote the Yoga Sutras, the philosophy of yoga, is the tyranny of uncontrollable thought that connects us, binds us, enslaves us to the material world, a material world full of sufferings, a material world seemingly governed by the whims of fortune's wheel. The Buddhists speak of suffering. And remember also a few weeks ago, etymologically, the word suffering comes from the Latin word passion. This is something that we don't do, it's something that happens to us. Passion. Suffering and passion are things that happen to us. With this, the Buddhists say life is suffering. We suffer pleasure as well as pain. Now, the Buddhists would acknowledge the fortune's wheel. That's life. But as to what to do about it, the Buddhists often invoke a story of the second arrow. You are struck by a painful arrow, indiscriminately shot by fortune's wheel, from fortune's wheel. You can't control being struck, and it hurts. Yet often, there's a second arrow. It's self-inflicted. We shoot it at ourselves. It is an unhealthy response to the first arrow. During World War II, psychiatrist Viktor Frankl found himself in a particular situation. For 3 years during the war, he spent those 3 years in 4 different concentration camps. After the war, as a Holocaust survivor, he wrote of this same concept, the Buddhist concept of the second arrow, from his own perspective. I don't know if he knew about that Buddhist story or not, but he writes about it from his perspective. He says, the situation in which a person exists could be understood as articulating a question directed to us. The question is, what response will I choose to make in my situation? What does my situation mean? What meaning will I attribute to it through the relationship I decide to have to it? A relationship that is established through specific attitudes, choices, actions, and commitments. In our reading this morning, Edwin Friedman essentially emphasizes that rather than blaming the gods, the fates, the wheel of fortune, our response to challenge is the key. He says that our quest for certainty has produced a fascination with reducing everything to its basic components. Everything must have an answer. Only the poets are unafraid of ambiguity. More often than not, fate is attributed to the gods, for we cannot risk the idea that destiny depends more upon our personal responses to challenge. Seeing the same thing in completely different contexts carries a lot of resonance with me. If you entrust yourself to fortune's dominion, you must conform to your mistress's ways. When we entrust ourselves to fortune's dominion, we must conform to the realm of fawning friendship, cheating, deception, card tricks, sleight of hand. I've heard it said that getting upset at fortune because of one's changing circumstances is like getting upset at water for being wet. Fortune, the wheel of fortune will spin, yet it is our response that matters. Stoic philosopher and Emperor Marcus Aurelius reframes what it means to be fortunate in terms of our responses. He writes, "Fortunate means that one has assigned to themselves, a good fortune. And a good fortune is good disposition of the soul, good emotions, good actions." Fortune and famine ride the swift winds of chance. Sorrow and pleasure seem united in dance. Web of life, may this thread I weave mingle compassion with all I believe. Mercy be my guide as I seek my way. Lead me into this tender day. Speak through me and all I do and say.
In an effort to fulfill and further the vision and mission of this congregation, we ask our members and friends to share of their time, treasure, and talents. With this, we will now gratefully take the offering, passing the basket, or you may also use the Givelify app. Thank you.
We accept this sacred offering generously given by our beloved members and friends. May we use it wisely and judiciously in service to our mission.
Now let us extinguish our chalice together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Again, we will have a Sunday service reflection on this, and it'll be held in the minister's office, led by David, who's over here. Yes. Our benediction today is the words of Confucius. Death, birth, existence, trouble, wealth, poverty, glory, blame, hunger, thirst, cold, hot, all these are the way the world goes and the result of destiny. Don't allow this to disrupt your innate balance. Perfect balance is found in still waters. Such water should be an example to us all. Go in peace and enjoy your week.